Welcome to this beautiful night of gathering in the name of astrological influences that are inviting great change to move from adversity to reclaiming our authority, asking for the structure we need, knowing that as we shift, we are fully supported. Mother, Father, God, all that is, great cosmic mother, divine universal intelligence, thank you for gathering us here today. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for guiding this session. We ask that you hear our prayer, and we know it is answered in the name of all things good, all things grace-filled, in the name of all our loved ones, all the planet, and all the universe. Let's ground that sacred reverence into our bodies by chanting the sound of Om 3 times. First breath in. Om. Second breath in. And the third breath in. You're joined by all the goddesses, all the divine mothers, all the feminine support, all our mothers of higher selves, all mothers of everyone we've ever known. We represent matriarchy. We represent a system, compassion, care, unification, support of all life as sacred, decision-making that is equal and also unified, putting the mother first, because if there is no life, there is no humans, there is no future. So as we circle around life, life is supported. So the secret of the return to what you asked for, and our simple prayer, our simple message, our simple intention, is we are supported and empowered by the divine universe in all things. I'm going to say that again. We are supported and empowered by the divine universe in all things, in all ways. We are supported and empowered by the divine universe in all ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is asked and it is done. This and something better. And there's a smile as I said that, because the divine always sees the something better, because the human condition is limited by its condition. Empowerment, really, they're saying, is a movement, a shift from that state of conditioned separation into a state of freedom-oriented grace. So that's where we're moving. Be gentle with each other. Be curious what that looks like. Be gentle with yourself, first and foremost. There is no wrong moves. There is no wrong feelings. It's going to be uncomfortable as the darkness arises within you and the conditioning surrounding how you position and identify with that darkness. Think of the womb right now and all the connotations over the years of what that has meant to this culture. And think of shifting that into a leading empowerment where it is the primary vital force of wisdom. That's going to take a lot of shifting just within your own heart, within your own mind, within your own perceptions, right? So imagine the rest of the world. So we have our work cut out for us. And what I mean by we, what Source means by we, is the glorious universal we. So when we are asking for support, we are asking for guidance, we are asking for empowerment, that means that we are as gentle with our own, let me choose my words carefully, gentle with our own fumbles and challenges and self-perceptions as we would be in caring for a friend or a loved one. Because we as women were taught to be very hard on ourselves for reasons of our own self or our own cultural indoctrination, social programs that taught us we weren't allowed to speak up, to speak our truth, to live our sovereignty. We didn't have the appropriate deities as standards of influence, of models of representation. They were taken away from us. And when we started doing the things that we know to be our primordial truth, the spiritual practices, the intuitive practices, speaking our mind, standing up for what was right and just, we were crushed for doing it, ridiculed for doing it, put down for doing it, saying this doesn't exist, because a whole culture erased our divine authority. And so the fight for validation, to be seen and heard, is big right now. And the first place we can start is within ourselves. Be gentle for all that you don't know. Start shifting your own mindset from self-recrimination to gentleness, to self-acceptance, to self-compassion, to self-understanding. And that will shift your awareness to look at yourself more like you look, say, at your parents who raised you in this same culture, and they may have made mistakes that to them were wounded people lashing out from their wounds. They didn't know any better. And so we have compassion for that, right? Hopefully, we can transfer that same compassion to ourselves right now, because we don't know any better. We've never had the matriarchal role models. They are showing up. Yeah, Virginia's here. Thank you. Oh, what a love bug she is. Pure love. They're showing up in the most unexpected ways. Why? Because we need each other. Whether they are mystical, magical moments, whether they are ordinary, simple moments of grace, and everything in between. We are showing up for each other in divine ways, in practical ways, in community ways, uplifting each other, supporting each other, sharing the wisdom, and we're going to continue to do so. These small circles of grace, when we add them up together, create one large circle. It isn't going to be a top-down. Top-down is hierarchical. Right now, the world is looking for one savior, one movement, one vote, one legislation to change what they feel helpless to change individually. And Source is saying, be the change. Be the change you want to see. Create the community, start the local co-op, change the way you spend your money. No longer give it to the entitled entities that are keeping us in prisons of poverty. Change your outlook. As we change locally, then it trickles up. It can't help but create more universal awareness. So the shift we're looking for starts small. It starts within you. I say this over and over and over again. This personal transformation that you're doing, this right here is enough of a mission. You do not need to have anything grander yet, unless it appears before you and Source taps you on your shoulder and says, hey, why not try this? But you don't have to go looking for it. That's the ego that says, I need to be this. And that same ego sits in shame and guilt and says, oh, I need to be this before I'm worthy and deserving, both of which are not true. So we're learning how to embrace our empowerment in different ways, to be encouraging, to be supporting, but also to be very compassionate when people stumble and fall and make mistakes or lash out in anger or show their competitive side or show their resentful side in comments or actions. We are growing and it is messy and it will be messy. Embrace the messiness. The example I have given countless times is the example of rehabbing your home. When you are tearing it down to recreate something new, you have to break it down to the studs, because the foundation, think of it, the foundation it sits on is sitting on a human foundation of trauma. So we have to get messy. We have to be that caterpillar in the cocoon, completely liquefying to come out the other side as a butterfly. Embrace the struggle. Embrace the struggle as your friends, coworkers, family are struggling too. Show them as much compassion as you can. Forgive yourself if you mess up in that interaction, because that's just where our trajectory is taking us. As we learn to trust each other, as we learn to trust the divine guidance, as we learn new ways of being, we are moving from the me model to start to act and embody the we model. And the we model isn't just human. That we model encompasses nature. It encompasses the planets, but let's just start locally with the nature in your own backyard. Think of how when you walk, like today, what feather taught me. As I was walking back on my path from my lake meditation, literally right in front of me, I would have stepped on it, a beautiful wild turkey feather. And I instantly picked it up. And as I kept walking, what came into my awareness is, did you ask the feather if it wanted to go with you? And I hadn't. Because again, my mindset said, because I found many feathers in my path, my mindset said, no, this feather is mine. It showed in my path. And here the entitled part of me took it. And so the we empowerment is asking us to stretch our approach to life, to break down our me lens and start to think, just start to think from a universal perspective. It's an animist view that everything is our relationship. And once you start doing that, your heart opens, or at least your boundaries open, to hear the wind as your brother, to see the waters as blue water magic, to look at the sun and sing to it every morning, like you're welcoming a friend, because you are. And once more and more of us start to live from this we perspective, we can't help but start caring for our fellow loved ones, our humans, but also nature. We stop looking at it as something to extract and something to care for as much as we would care for a loved one or a friend. That is true empowerment. That is the message of today. To gently move from the me to the we takes compassion, takes great courage, because it is incredibly humbling, because it will first point you to you and the ways that you need to examine that aren't living from the we perspective. Because again, this personal introspection, this personal self-awareness, this personal deconstruction is enough of a journey right now. It is a primary mission. Because on a multidimensional level, your shift of awareness is global. You are creating space for a new foundation to be seen from a shifting lens of awareness. Your expansion is the world's expansion. Your grounding this expansion into a lived expression, meaning how are you living it in your day-to-day life, is where we are right now. And the more we can embody this truth, the more this truth becomes embodied. I'm going to say that one more time. The more we embody this truth, the more this truth becomes embodied. So be raw, be transparent, ask for help, be humble, forgive yourself for all the mistakes you made. Take a fine-tooth comb, take a giant looking glass at some of the areas in your life that need to shift out of the me. And that includes victim. We're all walking, living, talking it, because how can we not? We are coming out of huge trauma. And some of us are still in huge trauma, and we will be in the trauma pattern for as long as it's needed. It could be the rest of our lives, because there is so much trauma to unravel. So be gentle, because when trauma meets another's trauma, talk about the wounded healer, those wounds are going to clash. Know that. Let it clash, and maybe come out the other side with shifting perspective and knowing that your karma met that person's karma, and we call it Leela's divine play working itself out, where maybe they're getting a lesson, you're getting a lesson, and there may not ever be closure, but the clash itself was the lesson. So it asks us to look at ourselves with a giant lens of self-compassion. And the only way we can do this is lean into our meditation, lean into our stillness practice, lean into the gap that divine gives us to move outside of ourselves. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So let's drop into that gap right now. And following the request for empowerment, for trust, for support, goes right to the area within you that doesn't feel supported. And right now it's taking us to our sacral chakra, the power center. Where we resist support is in the power center of how we self-protect. Because for this lifetime, most assuredly, but for many past lifetimes, for lifetimes where our mothers, our ancestors lived, you lived in survival mode because you had to. So again, be very gentle at the control aspects that you are expressing in this life, because they are literally programmed to be in survival mode. So Source is saying we are moving from survival to thriving. We are in the liminal space of discomfort. Liminal means betwixt and between. We are moving out of something what once was. We are moving in to something that is yet to be born in its full capacity. So it is the great unknown. The great unknown is the darkness of the womb that is pure potential. But what do we think of when we go into a dark room? Wow, we've been taught that darkness is evil, darkness is fearful, darkness is something bad. So we're also learning how to reframe darkness as pure potential. And so again, the metaphor, think of the house being rehabbed. We are sitting in a kitchen that has nothing left that we can use, but yet we still have to make dinner? Okay then, that's where ingenuity comes in, that's where trust comes in, that's where faith comes in. So Source is clearing out some patterns of disempowerment in the third chakra, the throat, the lungs. How do you breathe? Thriving in when we're literally breathing the threat of survival in a world that's collapsing. Patriarchal world right now is collapsing. That means the foundation of everything we thought to be quote unquote normal is falling out from under us, and well it should. But human race clings to what it knows. Anyone who's ever stopped smoking, anyone who's ever tried to change a habit that is deeply ingrained, apply that to the world right now. We are being asked to move out of something we have been habituated to for thousands of years, even though we know we don't like it, even though we know it's really bad for us. It's still a habit. So there are people and places and things that are going to escalate. There are people and places and things that are going to cling to the only thing they've ever known: competition, comparison, different aspects of hierarchies that even in our spirituality we were taught were the norm. So be gentle as we relearn new matriarchal ways, and love is coming in. Love is coming in. Swan Medicine is that love. It's something I even leapfrogged over, and I said, oh, it's too simple. Because what is it? It's just love. It's simple love, coherence. So Swan Medicine is also a bridge between worlds. It's coming in as the messenger of the human race to bridge, to wing our way to the divine. Why we need that help. We are all struggling right now. Who doesn't need a set of wings right now? Who doesn't want to see through the mirror and see the swan looking back and showing us our inner beauty? And as we see our inner beauty, what do? We deflect. We reject it even. That's not me. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. And here's the reasons why. Our minds list why that is. And so this is the conditioning we're all struggling with right now. And in that struggle, if we share that struggle, we don't have to put on a mask. What have we always done? We've put on the mask that says, I'm okay, I got this, it's all going to be beautiful, here's what I'm doing, look at me. A lot of the times ego jumps right on board. We don't know how to share our vulnerability because we don't know when we share that vulnerability that we are going to be supported. Because oftentimes when we shared it in the past, oftentimes when we share it now, that vulnerability is ignored, it's shunned, it's looked down upon, or in most instances, it bumps up against someone else's vulnerability. So be gentle with that too. Honor other people's need to process in the way they need to, and trust that whatever you are asking for will be met, but just in a different way. So we're learning how to navigate this messy, bumpy, uphill, downhill, backwards, forward, sideways, upside down world. So we help redefine what it is to be matriarchal to everyone who has been trained to be anti-matriarchal. We're working on what's disempowered us in the sacral and solar plexus and the throat. Yep, definitely the throat. And the heart. Okay, so basically and the root, survival fear. So basically from the root up to the throat. Just removing whatever disempowerment is needed. This is something you can listen to in another layer will clear. And there's the self-disappointment. There's your own self-entitlement. As I was sitting in meditation this morning, came face to face with the entitlement that I projected onto others. Because when you live in survival mode, and I'm going to say this very loudly, people are 100% trashing narcissist. Narcissist is really just a name for self-survival. I'm going to say that one more time. Narcissism is really just a desperate need for survival. It's a projection. It doesn't excuse it, but you can understand it. My self-centeredness 100% came from just getting by day to day, a desperate need for when I lost my mind and when I was living in the throes of dis-ease, so uncomfortable that all I could do was get up, or all I could do was sit in my pajamas, or all I could do was just step forward from one day to the next, where doing the laundry was such a task. Depression, even dementia in our elderly, that is pulling people inward for the deep rest they need. Why? All of our trauma, all of our nervous systems are overstimulated and hold trauma, again, from ancient past. And so we're even avoiding, because working on your mental awareness, working on your health, working on your nervous system, working on your psyche has all been stigmatized, especially for women. If you go to a doctor, a male doctor, oftentimes the male doctor dismisses emotionality or nervous system disorders as something unimportant. And we have to fight. The research doesn't study our needs. But as we get more and more women doctors, that's shifting. So you see how matriarchy is slowly changing the world, and it starts with small movements of our own self-awareness, of our own self-influence in the circles that we have, in our own communities, in our own families. We start to live reciprocity. Reciprocity says, as we give, as we receive, we give back. As we give back, we receive. And a beautiful example of reciprocity this morning I won't share for the sake of personal. That's very personal, deeply personal. But she is here. But I will tell you, love sees all. Love transmits through lifetimes. Love reaches into timelines. Love says, there is no past, present, future. There's only now. But past, present, and future is a part of the now. And if we ground that into our self-awareness right now, we learn how to live it. So Swan Medicine coming in. Swan is matriarchal representation in its infancy. So look at a swan. Their signets are like ugly ducklings. They're very fuzzy and gawky. Consider us right now cygnets in our nest as we peck each other for dominance, but then we learn to live together as a family unit. As we start growing, we fly together, we feed together, we synergistically learn from observing and witnessing and surrendering to this greater wisdom. We look at the animal world, and their innateness is how they survive and thrive. Our innateness has been beat out of us. Our surrendered listening is an ancient art coming back in as we learn to listen to the wind, learn to listen to a feather that talks to us and asks, did you ask me my position, my permission? And of course, the resounding answer was yes, but the lesson was pause, ask. Consider the greater world around you. There we go. So when you hear me talking like that, they were working from the root to the throat in clearing out a major pattern of disempowerment. To me, it is ancestral disenfranchisement. The ancestral story of I can't because. It has certain survival elements, but it has certain elements of self-repression, because if I stand up to, I have been hurt, I've been killed, I have been bringing in the ire, the disenfranchisement, the rejection, the abandonment. I've been doing it by my choices, and those choices have reflected back negatively or even horrifically. So it feels like it's a self-imposed restriction that we just cleared from the root all the way up to the throat. Beautiful. Thank you, Swan Medicine. Now bringing in the love. Love is filling the gap. When we clear, it creates a vacuum. And in that vacuum, our natural self arises. And our authentic self lives the language of love. But again, it hasn't been a popular, a mass language in a very long time. Nature doesn't even call it love. Nature just says, yeah, that's just a part of who I am. There's even no words for it. Love in the human language is conditional. Love in the divine language just simply is a presence. So we're allowing this presence of love to come in, to rebuild, reframe, retune, realign love as an empowered support. Think of that. Self-love as an empowering support. And so that begs the question, what and where and why don't you love yourself? What ways? What habits? What thoughts? What identities aren't living the sense of love? Where? Where in your life can you make changes? When you say or do things, create boundaries, make adjustments, make decisions from the space of love. Turkey Feather says, weigh your decisions with discernment. Don't do anything rash. Wild turkey always looks around cautiously. Remember the birds of prey. There are things a wild turkey needs to look for when it's raising its young. Make your decisions wisely. Reflect. What you need to do to love yourself. Where aren't you following love? Why don't you love yourself? And how can you change? And there is no easy answers here. There is no one answer. All of it is the path, as the Buddhists say. Make a list of all the ways you love yourself. And start doing more of that. And we can start here. We have to start here. Because as we start small, within our form, within our lives, that's what trickles up. That's what trickles out. That's what creates true lasting change. Not a weekend workshop where you feel bliss or change for a couple of days afterwards. Lasting change goes into the darkness, looks at what's causing you not to live that change. It's uncomfortable. It's going to ask you very truth-oriented questions. A lot of us are looking outside for the external. What program can I build? Where can I advocate? Where can I volunteer? Where can I donate? And the simple truth is, your own personal self-transformation contributes to the world. Women leapfrog over that and say, well, that's not enough. And also, we're not used to putting ourselves first. That narcissism thing, well, we don't want to be self-centered. But it's not self-centered to reclaim your authority, to reclaim your autonomy, to be the model for yourself, to be the model for your children and grandchildren, to be the model for your family, to be the model for your community, to show vulnerability, to show your mistakes, to show the transparency, to fall flat in your face, to laugh it off, or to resolve conflicts openly. Or maybe not. Maybe just allow conflicts to be lessons. All of it is the path. All of it is valid as we move from conqueror dominance to matriarchal compassion. And that is the empowerment. The path is the empowerment we seek. We can't just ask for support and not be willing to put ourselves first and support ourselves first, because we are the divine. Oftentimes people pray to the divine as a savior. Please God, please Goddess, do this for me. And the divine says, well, I am showing you. Let's do it together, because you know what? You are divine. And let's figure out how to get there together, because we don't often trust the inner signals, because our inner signals have been dented, blocked, trashed, calcified. We haven't used our third eyes regularly in the longest time. Our root chakra doesn't want to connect to the earth because, again, it's stuck in survival fear. So all these things, we're like the rusted tin man in The Wizard of Oz. You know, we can't move synergistically. And when we do, we don't remember how to move synergistically in a world that supports us, because the world hasn't supported us in so long. And therein lies the paradox, right? How do we come in and trust a world when the world hasn't trusted, given us something to trust? Well, the outer conditional world isn't true. The universal world is. And so that's the deconstruction, the conditioning of human world versus the presence of the I am universal world, and recreating the form, recreating the structure of a divine world within the physical form of a new earth world. And that's what we're doing, and it starts within you. And it is hard enough just to look at yourself with compassion, look at your mistakes, look at your foibles, look at your communities, look at your families, look at the choices, the beliefs, and deconstruct that and start to live a different truth. I know all of you are raising your hand, or all of you cursing me out, or all of you are probably fast asleep in a trance state, and that's great. I hope you re-listen to this and hear this message. It starts with you, making the tough choices, seeing through a mirror and a looking glass at the swan looking back at you and saying, I am you, and recoiling and looking at every single trigger of rejection and abandonment, every single trigger you have with the people in your lives who you don't want to deal with, or bring discomfort, or create conflict, as messages of where you are out of alignment and out of balance, and taking fierce stock while you can adjust, or having compassion for making that mistake and moving on, because sometimes we make mistakes that we cannot fix because two wounded people cannot create one whole individual. So you learn your lesson, you move on, and you bless them, and you bless it, but you look, how can I learn from that and change? That's the mirror, that's the looking glass. That's the support you need. The empowerment is you, the support is you. All of it is trusting yourself, seeing yourself as the divine support you need. That is empowerment. That is sustainable. It is not a burst of divine love. That too is important. It is divine burst of your personal love that is divine. I'll say that again. It is a divine burst, a growth, an embodiment of your own personal self-love that is divine. It's blossoming. It's going to go forward. It's going to go backwards. It's going to go sideways. It's going to explode. It's going to be shamed and guilted. It's going to ask for forgiveness. It's going to forgive itself. That's the messiness we're in as we learn from our divine wisdom matriarchs. They exist. We stand on the shoulders of great avatars. We live in the presence of great matriarchs who have given us examples that we often overlook. Uplift them in your hearts as they uplift us. Call on them for added support. And they come from all over. I was going to say I had a dog, but I have a dog that was matriarchal support. She lived love. She exemplified compassion. She reflected pure beauty and joy. She loved me despite everything. And we all need that love in our lives to reflect back to us our own gloriousness, because we often don't get it, because right now the world is in great division. We are all doing our best just to support ourselves individually. That needs to change. We need to come together in groups, share our dysfunction openly as a means of finding that compassion, that reflection, that encouragement, that inspiration. And it's going to be hard. We're going to make mistakes. People are going to come and go as we figure out what that looks like. Because we need to openly say, I don't know how to do this. And the perfection-minded women don't even know how to say, I don't know. So be gentle with each other. Learn to listen first before you speak. I'm raising my hand, but also as a channel, I'm learning to trust what is and isn't true of how to channel that truth in a way that's heard. It's all discernment. It's all the process. It's all love. The love circling back now in the form of swan integration, integrating all the changes we just did, all the self-reflection, all the forgiveness, all the shame, all the guilt, washing away, integrating in all time, all space, all realms, all fields, interdimensionally, dimensionally, catching up, physicalizing, integrating with love, looks at life through the lens of self-acceptance, self-allowing, integrating it all as a whole, throughout all consciousness, throughout all time and space. Integrating love feels different. It feels empowering. It gives you the structure you need. You know, there's a phrase that popular culture grasped onto for a while called, what would Jesus do? And it really just reflects, what would love do, really? But love in that capacity had a framework. This love has no framework in the human scale. Its framework says love can be compassion. Love can be firm and disciplined. Love can be fierce, transparent, reflective, honoring, vulnerable, blissful, joyful, playful, everything. What would love do is an excellent mantra when you're faced with a challenge. Because love doesn't judge. Love sees you, loves you in all your mistakes, all your glory, and everything in between. Love is pouring forth for you right now. Not just in integration, it's going into your psyche for therapeutic repair. It's going into your body and all the places we worked on that survive, because that's all it knew. It's bringing in compassion. It's bringing in that forgiveness that you think you need, but you really don't. But, the mind says, oh, I think I need to forgive. No, it's all about just pure acceptance and looking back at the trajectory of being human, even in the course of your lifetime, even in the course of right now, this present moment. We need a huge dose of a reality check that says life is supposed to be messy right now. And that doesn't take forgiveness. That just takes full-on awareness of the circumstances, right? Let people be messy. Love them anyway. Let people be, quote-unquote, imperfect. Perfection is not something that love created. That's a human condition. And what is perfection anyway? What standard was created for that perfection to be judged against? That's not matriarchal love. Matriarchal love sees everything, not even from the higher view, it sees it from the darker view. Darker view from pure possibility, from the reality of what we're living now. So when we look at matriarchal societies from ancient, that is not something we want to bring forward. That is something we want to retrofit. Everything we lived, and how does it look as we move from this messiness into reframing and recreating and realigning with a system that hasn't existed in thousands of years. It's going to look different. Let it. Let it. Love washing over all your wounds right now. Love washing over all your sorrows and griefs. Love washing over the tears, the challenges, the struggles, the fears. Love says it's okay to cry. You're not weak. It's just angel tears coming out, or frustration tears. Love is your empowerment. Love is your support. We're just learning to trust it within and without. Indra coming in, sprinkling her fairy dust of love in the form of crystals, in the form of droplets, in the form of flames that clear out what isn't love. Indra, a fierce, fierce supporter of who you are right now. Not who you want to be, who you are right now in the messiness of your life. Love it. And that's where trust starts to form. Because right now the earth is in a place of great uncertainty as the floor drops out of everyone and everything. We are going to, I'm going to say this a couple of times, we are going to have to trust our neighbors, ourselves, our communities to get through the next 5-10 years. So everything needs to change. And as everything needs to change, the system that we built will break down. That means money systems, that means corporate systems, that means judicial, educational. It's probably going to look really chaotic for a while. And if we want to build matriarchal systems, we have to start building matriarchal systems. We have to find communities that we relate to locally, also divinely, energetically, and within. Your team isn't just physical, your team is ethereal. Your divine support has never left you, and it's what's leading us forward now. That love bubbling up from within is them, is us, is our future self cheering you on, saying, I got this. Why? How do I know it? Here I am. I'm living it. We got this. Trust that. And when it's hardest to trust, and we all are going to experience it because there have been many lifetimes where we gave up. I felt it, where we just want to give up now. It's going to get that dark maybe, or has maybe for some of you, where you really feel that you don't belong and you don't even want to be here. That is the you that gave up. Which is okay, because it was too tough back then. And so that energy is arising for you to see. And embrace it, show it compassion, show it the kind of love you would show to any child who's coming to you with a problem that is too big for them to hold. Our universal grief, our collective grief, is not anything we can deal with individually, and that is bubbling up within all of us. It is going to present itself as overwhelming, because it is. And so that's when we band together in groups like what we are doing together every week and every month, to chip away at this collective grief, to chip away at this collective trauma that is too big for all of us. But when we join together as a group, we can do anything together. That is the divine autonomy. That is the divine authority. That is the divine intuition. That is the divine power of not just women, of unification. Because the divine matriarchal is a system where men and women work together in synergy, supporting all life. That is what we need to start living now. So with that message, we give you a blast of your own love. We bring in your future self that's already done this, already gone through everything, transformed it all, and is now living this wisdom as an embodied, authoritative, grounded, anchored, structured you. And it's going to create a blueprint. Here we go. And this blueprint is your grounded, authoritative you. It is the empowered. It is the structure. We're going to give it a moment to land. In our groups, I call this universal timelines. That creates an anniversary, an evolutionary. It is an anniversary. We're celebrating our anniversary of matriarchy, universal timelines, and evolutionary blueprints. And this blueprint is going to carry you forward. It is the resurrected you, the aligned you, who's already lived through the transformation that you are doing. So it creates a highway for you to follow, an architectural map, a blueprint for living, where some days you'll see it and live it and know it. Other days you're going to drift away, because that's what a blueprint is. You come back to the blueprint. You come back to the blueprint. It is quantum timeline jumping. It is the future you as an overlay. And of course you're confident, and of course you're assured, of course you're empowered. Because you're living your divinity. You're leaning on the divine that is you, reflected you. You're living it with others who see you, support you, know you in the same vibrational awareness. Because we're finding each other. Trust me, we are finding each other. Adding awakening structures. That just support the map in blossoming, diamond-like crystals, our high frequency support of the awakening structures. And finally, infinite grace, which is the evolutionary advancement of Swan Medicine. Infinite grace says, you're here, you're unified, you're love. You're the unconditional love that knows, that sees, that lives, that embodies. That is yet to be, that it once was. It is the darkness of potential. And as we shine a light into the darkness, we're going to see the spider webs, we're going to see the dust, we're going to see the corrosion, we're going to see the mucky, murky mess that's left to clean up. Not only within us, within the land, and our families, within all of the planet. That's us. We're the cleanup crew. We think we need to live in bliss and joy and love. No, we need to shine that into the darkness and clean up the mess we created so that the foundation we create now is going to be based in the reality without that influence. That's the only way forward. That's going to be sustainable, right? There is no fantasy split of 3D into 5D. There's certain elements that are truth-oriented there. We're not going to split off from each other. That creates separation. You see the falseness in that? Unified, wholeness, oneness says there isn't any separation. So why would a spiritual fantasy support separation? It doesn't, and it can't. So the reality is wholeness is to embrace the reality of now, to see your pain as the pain of others, to share it with the divine, and have it reflect back to you the support you need until you start living your own support. That's the truth we're living now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So again, a burst of love and support of all things that you are, all things that you are yet to be, and beauty of compassion to get you through. Om Vasatoma Sakkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Yatramam Tramgamaya Om Shanti 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 Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Guryo Namaha Hari Om. Peace, peace, peace. May this beautiful empowerment, restructuring, realignment continue to land, lead you forward, and bring you peace. Taking a deep breath, bringing you up and out of this space of grace. It is done, it is complete. So it is, so it is, so it is. With so much love, thanking our divine guidance, the wisdom that came forward, the direction, the discernment, the love we all shared in this group and will continue to share. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Till next time, know you are loved.